Hey, Andy, I am so excited about this show that we're getting ready to let these guys listen to today.
Oh, me too. We got some good stuff in here, Merrill.
Yeah, well, we had the opportunity to already put this recording together, and so now we know we get to see the future before you do. We spoke with Jeff Duerler, and he's going to be our guest. You guys, you got to tune into this, man. Jeff is, Andy, he is so thoughtful. He is a thoughtful man.
Yes.
He's not whatever comes out of his mouth is he's winging it.
Yep.
You can tell his gears are working, and he says things very intentionally.
Yes.
And I just grab that because I'm more spontaneous, and sometimes I go, I should have not said that.
Yeah. And I'll tell you this, guys who listen, you're going to find so much really good, rich content in here. You're going to want to listen to this a couple times.
Yeah.
It is full of it was hard to navigate because I'm like, you just said something really good. Do I expound upon that or do we move on? For us trying to moderate this.
You guys need to know, we always have some basic notes out in front of us just to kind of make sure that our brain is in line. I don't think I looked at them once. For the most part, it was other than commercial stuff, Jeff kept the conversation rolling.
Yep.
And kind of baited us into good conversation, which is always cool.
Yes.
When we have a guest and you're thinking, what should we say next? But Jeff just keeps it rolling. So you guys, you got a good one coming. Do us a favor, tune in. A couple of announcements, right?
Yep.
Let's remind everybody, our Strong Dads Saturday morning workouts are continuing. Saturday at 8 a.m. and typically those are a 45-minute workout and then followed by a 45-minute Bible study.
And on those workouts, let me say this. Let's just say you're out there and you've not worked out all of 2025.
Oh, shame on you.
And you're but you're telling me you want me to come and work out with these guys? Are they going to show me up? For the person who's not worked out in a long time, how's that look for them getting back into it?
Yeah. Well, you have been a trainer. I have been a trainer.
Yes.
We accommodate and adapt every exercise to any person who needs it. And above all, we'd love for you to exercise, but more than anything else, we just want you to be there.
Yes.
The brotherhood is way more to be exercised than the actual body in our mind.
Oh, yeah.
With that being said, we do always have some friendly competition, and you can get into that or not. So just don't let your quality of your physical fitness right now be the thing that hinders you. If guys are getting into a push-up competition, then let it be between those guys. They'll have fun with it, encourage it. But you don't have to feel intimidated by that.
No, not at all. Yeah. So Saturday mornings at the St. Leon office, most of the time, every now and then we'll have something where we go out. This is going to post, and a couple weeks before this, we went over and did a hike at Miami Whitewater, and that was pretty cool. So, but 7484 Christina Drive, our St. Leon office, 8 a.m., 9:30, workout, bring your Bibles, get a little Bible study in. It's awesome. And then also this Saturday, January 3rd, when we're at the St. Leon office, we're going to do a little Strong Dads Live, where we're going to have, after our workout and we do our Bible study, we're just going to throw a couple microphones and just be able to go share the voice of some of you guys. Some of you guys say some really awesome things in those Bible studies, and we just want to share it with the people who get to listen to this. So January 3rd, first Saturday in January, we're going to do a little Strong Dads Live, roundtable style.
Yeah. Strong Dads, it's about common men doing uncommon things like leading their family to Christ. So, all right.
Enjoy this episode,
Enjoy
guys.
the episode. Are you hungry for some fantastic food and a great atmosphere? Then head over to the Hebron Grill. Distinctively Southern and soulfully unique, the Hebron Grill has something for everyone. It's the perfect spot for family dinners, a quick lunch, or catching up with friends. We want to send a huge thank you to the Hebron Grill for being a sponsor of the Strong Dads podcast and for their incredible support in helping us empower dads everywhere. So the next time you're looking for a great meal, remember the Hebron Grill. Find them online or stop by today. That's the Hebron Grill. Great food and great community.
Welcome back to Strong Dads, guys. Andy Dalton here with Merrill Hutchinson, and we've got another special guest. Guys, we have Jeff Duerler sitting here. Jeff, thank you for joining us today.
I can't wait to dive in. This is my second time, and I really appreciate what you guys are doing to help men, women, and families be strong.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you. Thanks for coming out. I mean, I know you're busy, especially this time of year. This was your idea to take him this time of year, wasn't it?
Actually, here's the deal. Everyone thinks pastors are super busy in December, but guess what? Everybody's busy with their families.
Oh, yeah.
Which means it actually frees
maybe
up
a break?
a chunk of time. So
Okay, cool.
Future note, December lead pastors. Got it. Okay.
yeah.
So I take back any sorry or apologies.
Correct. Yep.
We're going 3 hours. You said you wanted to do a 3-hour podcast.
I wanted to do a Joe
At some
Rogan
point.
style, so you're stuck here, buddy.
Take as long as we need to take.
Well, before we jump into this, we'd like to thank our sponsors and you guys for watching and listening. We really appreciate it. You guys are the reason why we're able to make this possible, along with Quality Auto Mart, Casey's Outdoor Solutions, and Hebron Grill. Their faithfulness to sponsor, Strong Dads and allow us to get together with special guests to produce these and put out this content. So thank you to our sponsors and for those of you guys who watch, listen.
Yeah. So, Jeff, you have been on here before, but we're going to kind of treat you like you haven't. Tell us a little bit about you. Give us some background, a little bit of your story.
Yeah, sure. Every morning when I wake up and kind of get my bearings, I say this to God. I say, I love you too. And the reason why I introduce myself with that is the most important part of who I am, the core of my identity is in relation to God, Jesus. And so I'm someone who loves Jesus, but I am loved by Jesus. I can never beat him to the punch either, man. I wake up, I love you too.
Yeah.
So it's just the core of my identity. I'm really honored to have an awesome wife, a wonderful family. We are actively involved in the work of God in the world, and we're going to be talking more about that. It's a big part of our lives.
Yeah.
But we get to do some fun stuff. I get to help lead an organization that is restoring a broken world. I'm a lead pastor at LifeSpring Community Christian Church, and my wife and I have a business together. We help save marriages with Airbnb getaways. So we've got some cabins, some really cool places people can go to rekindle and revive and renew and build their marriages. But I've also got a PhD in Hebrew Bible, so I like it when I get chances to teach, and I get to be involved in some cool networks in our city and beyond.
Oh, that's cool. I will vouch for your Airbnb. Our daughter spent their honeymoon or a day or two.
Actually, she was in our partner's
Yes,
Airbnb
your partner,
at
yes.
the development that we're working.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Same basic
place
area.
Yeah,
Okay,
same place, same style.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Cool. Well, so let's talk about why we thought you would be great to come on here. Besides the list of things that you've got your fingers dabbled in, from my time I've known you intimately the last 3 or 4 years or so, I see the theme of mission all throughout your life and what you do. When you talk about the core of your being and loving Jesus, like that to me, mission kind of coincides with that with you. And so our month long at Rockstar Families and here at Strong Dads, we've been aligned with being more theme driven within our content of being missional. We've gone from men on mission, women on mission, mission field, and now the mission of Christ. And now we're kind of wrapping up, this whole thing with you here. So that was one of the things that we had talked about. Like, Merrill, you can chime in here too with this. Like, weren't you born when your parents were on missionaries? Is that right?
Yeah, I was born in Indonesia.
Oh, wow.
My mom and dad served with OMF, Overseas Missionary Fellowship. They were physical therapists. My dad was a physical therapist at a hospital there in Indonesia, but coming alongside and helping support the expansion of God's kingdom.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that. Yeah.
So that's been literally tied to the core of who you are.
But I will say this. I grew up with a mom and dad that my dad worked at a hospital, my mom worked in the schools, and then in some group homes. And they lived on mission even when they were not missionaries. And so we'll talk more about that because that's a big deal.
That is a big deal. That's good.
Yeah. So, Jeff, you started talking about I love you too, right? I just want to go back to that for a second because that is a mindset. When did you start talking like that about your relationship with Christ? That's not something we do out of the grave or out of the womb, right?
Yeah.
So when did you go, no, like I'm in constant relationship. That's how tight this is.
Wow. I was 16 when I realized who Jesus was, that he was not just a theological concept or a doctrinal belief, but a real person who wanted a real relationship with me. And so I would say it was forged at 16, but the seeds were deeply embedded by my family, my parents. And that's why obviously this podcast is such a big deal for families and for men. And so while it was a youth pastor who kind of lit the match, it was the stage was set, that the wood was stacked because of my parents and their investment in prayer and love and example.
They were very intentional. Sounds like it wasn't
for sure
something you stumbled on.
No, they were very intentional. Yeah. And so for me, growing up, I kind of began to sort of form a framework that I think there are 3 questions that every human being is asking. Every man is asking 3 questions. And this is true throughout history and around the world. It's who am I? And that's identity. Why am I here? That's purpose or mission. And then where am I going? That has to do with hope and destiny. And I think our lives revolve around these 3 questions. Now, everybody looks for and settles on different levels of answers to those questions. But over time, I just became convinced Jesus gives the best answers to all 3 questions. It starts with identity. I'm a much-loved, adopted child of God, and that's why I start my day like that.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get into just the whole idea then of being on mission. One of the things that I've recognized with myself is as I've grown, aged, and had experiences, my mission seems to have changed. The idea of being a servant of God continues to be there, but how it actually looks, what I'm actually doing with my time seems to be different. I got to imagine, I don't want to throw you under the bus, but you're not a young kid, right?
50 years old.
Yeah.
I'm a young buck,
you're
comparably speaking.
Yeah. So how has mission evolved or changed for you before we actually get into what it looks like now?
Yeah. All right, there's a lot of dimensions to this, but I would suggest to you guys, everybody who follows Jesus has the same mission, and yet it is personally applied to who you are and to your life and to your context, and that can vary, it can change, it can develop. And so this is an idea that's probably worth digging into a little deeper. What is this, universal mission, and then what is my personal mission? And so for me, I would say that loss. There's a guy, Pete Scazzaro. He does emotionally healthy spirituality, emotionally healthy relationships. He says there are treasures buried in grief and loss. One of those treasures in crisis, the crucibles of life, is the opportunity for clarity. You reevaluate, and you know this very well. At this stage, and Andy, you are too forged in this. It gives you an opportunity to say what really matters when you take restock everything in terms of especially mortality. And so, in our story of loss, grieving, and healing with our daughter's passing in an auto accident 8 years ago at 16, I had an opportunity for clarity to emerge as to why am I here? And what am I going to leverage my life on? And I read a book about write your will and then work backwards from there.
A little reverse engineering.
Yes.
Of
and
life.
So what do you want to be said about you as a eulogy at your funeral? And now what do you need to do now to make that true and real? And so that was a real helpful moment, I would say, in my journey. Lots of little things, but then wonderful moments like that help accelerate the process of carving out a mission. And I can say more about that if you want.
And I definitely don't want this show to become any about me, but some of our listeners out there and those who may not be listening in the past know that I've had a diagnosis of terminal brain cancer, glioblastoma. And, so much of what you're talking about there is hitting home with me. Here is, everybody's, that's so terrible. And it is. Like, I'm not going to sit there and tell you, like, I love my diagnosis, right? My time is short. I don't know what that means, a year, a few months, maybe 2 years. I don't know. But perspective has it's changed and gotten very clear.
Yep.
Right? And so here's the cool thing. I get to write my eulogy. God's given me just enough health, and I'm not great. I'd lose. That's kind of why I like, Andy, you lead this one right now, because I'll lose thoughts and stuff like that. But I have enough in me now that I can get clarity on what I want my messaging to be, how I want, who do I need to say thanks or bye or whatever to, and that's a gift. I always told Linda I wanted to pass quickly, like I want to be on my bike, climbing up Route 1 and get hit by a truck. That sounds morbid, but like I don't want the pain.
Yeah.
But going through the opportunity that it has presented me with is like, oh wow.
Yeah, thank you.
I have some time, and it's going to have to be dealt with well, and so I want to do that well. And so to your point, like, it's really been a blessing.
Yeah, I wish there was a way to take the pregnant moment that comes when facing and staring at mortality and our daughter's passing in your diagnosis, and inject that into everyone in wherever you're at, however old you are, and live in light of that. Live in light of the bigger picture and the bigger purpose.
Because both of those are some tragic, deep, hard events both of you have gone through. For me, I've not gone through them. I'm, at a different season of life than both of you guys. But if I had that understanding of what you're talking about now, man, what would the rest of my life look like? And so,
and here's the tricky part. It's not that I've never heard any of this stuff before.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really, you don't learn it until you have to learn it. You know what I mean? Like, when I was a teacher, and you went through and you got all this, I was a science teacher, right? And you learned all this science. And it was like, you learn it skim deep. And then all of a sudden you're up in front of your class and you're teaching. And you're getting these eureka moments like, oh my gosh, that's what that means. Like, in other words, you start to internalize it because it now has meaning as to why you have to understand it at a certain level. And so as much as I want to say to people, live like you were dying.
Yes.
It's a hard thing to internalize.
Yeah.
Until you actually are on the edge of that cliff.
It's
right?
true, but I'm sure you could riff on this for a long time. Muscle memory in sports and training. There is a way to develop the muscle memory of what do I do in little crises? Do it now, because that's what you'll do in big crises. What did I see from you and Linda? I saw faith. I saw prayer. I saw dependency. I saw worship. I saw trust. I saw integrity. Well, that didn't just happen overnight. Those were forged in little decisions throughout your life, and now everybody's seeing it on display. You're doing what you've been doing. It's just, it is different. It is different. The stakes are different, and it's real. But it's also, it was real when you faced the disappointment of that text that came in, or when it didn't go that way, or when you had that loss back at the thing, or when that person treated you that way. I think that helped create you and shape you to handle this the way you're handling it.
There's no doubt. That's one of the things, Jeff, that struck me when we were, a couple of the doctors came in, were in the hospital room, and they, right away, the room was dark, and they're like, hey, we need to talk. And you're like, oh gosh, like this isn't going to be good. And they just started delivering the bomb. Glioblastoma, life expectancy, how it's probably going to go. Linda and I, there were tears, so I don't want to make any, joke about any of that. But there was a settledness. And right away, like I said, hon, God's got this. God's got this. I don't even know what to do with it, but God's got it, and so we're just going to trust. And that's only from the little lifting that went on all those years, and that's what we have told people. It's like, that's why you don't want to wait and never build that muscle. You got to build it every day, and even if I don't even know why I'm doing this. Well, when all of a sudden it kicks in, the mission is so much more clear. So again, I don't want to take any more of that show, but it obviously hits home with me.
Yeah, absolutely. I did want to expand upon, because we've actually talked, something you said, and Kim, our other newest coach, talked about God has a story he's writing, and we have our story that is a part of his story. And I think you had said something about with mission. You kind of changed that word mission and story, but God's mission, I'm blanking on the words here for this, but restoring a broken world, right? His mission is like, we had this utopia, if you want to call it that, right? Garden of Eden, and then sin entered in, and then boom, we've got, ever since then, we're picking up these pieces, and God's got this story and mission. And how is ours in a lot of things? I think if people don't see it that way, like, all right, this is my goal, my mission, but there's a greater level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think this is one of the big dangers, and it's the wrong mission. And this is where it gets really tricky, because idolatry creeps in very subtly. For my life, if my mission had been my kids, I would be without a mission, because I don't have a child that I, in a sense, you could say, should have now. But my family was never the mission. The family was the mission field and the mission force. And I want to explain that a little more, because this could sound like I'm undermining the importance of family. I'm actually elevating it, but I'm reframing it. And I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on this. Yeah. So I think for a lot of guys who end up with a family, get kids, that changes everything. I mean, it ignites love in your heart you didn't know you had, and does all kinds of good things. But then you can begin to say, my family, I'm doing it for my family. It's all about the family. And that is, I would call, a very fragile mist. You're grabbing onto something that there is no promise that it's forever. Yeah. But if you grab onto the calling of Jesus to join him in restoring a broken world, to help other people experience the good news that is in the process of changing you, then all of a sudden you just recalibrate when your circumstances change. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it's good when crises come and when there's loss and horrible things that happen and injustice and betrayal and all that jazz. I'm just saying you are like a bobber that's plunged under, but you buoy back to the surface because you're like a GPS. You recalibrate. And I've always thought, I love this about Jesus and the way of Jesus, that I could wake up in a prison cell of solitary confinement to the horror of wicked things I've done with nobody and nothing but suffering. And I could wake with Jesus, I could have a fresh identity and hope and purpose. Wow. There is nothing that can take that away. Like, there is truly no one and nothing that can take away the chance for me to live out my mission. Now, my circumstances are going to change in how I live it out. And that's what happened when Kayla died. We said, well, oh man, I keep going back to the grief part of this, but it connects with mission, and maybe somebody really needs to hear this because you have been derailed in living purposefully because of pain and loss and heartache in your life. And so for my wife and I, it was not why did this happen, but how can you redeem it? That little pivot from why to how. I see you guys living this out. You know, you've shifted from not why, woe is me, kind of the me-centered living, which is the mission instead of mission. You know, it's the me-centered. Well, Jesus is also creeps in, right? So to how, God, can you use this? And if you can start doing that with the little disappointments of life, the little setbacks, the little frustrations, you'll be able to do it with the big ones too.
Yeah. Yeah, that is some really powerful and good stuff. That's a great message. You know, I think we've all had idolatry in our life at different times and didn't have a clue. Like we felt like it was we were doing the right thing. And so when you were talking about, you know, losing your daughter, I compare that all the time when parents become empty nesters.
Yeah.
And I mean, you hear the stories of failure to launch. You know, like, so kids are being kept in the home until they're in their 30s or whatever. And you often find, like, well, why? Well, because it's really about mommy and daddy not wanting them to leave, because then their purpose will change, or they think they'll lose purpose. Yep. And it's like, oh, wow. So your purpose is all based off of what this other person is or isn't doing. Yep. What a scary thing, right? That'll fracture easily. And so I love what you're saying there, that it doesn't mean we're not going to be sad. when our older boys left to go to school, actually it didn't sadden me at first. I was very proud. What happened though is once they graduated, got out of the military, and then their families moved elsewhere, far enough away that I couldn't just drop over. It really started to hit me like, this really sucks.
Yeah.
This really sucks. I got to recalibrate.
Yeah.
Because I just wanted our family to be together.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, no, you just got to get back on the trail and your purpose.
Yeah, you often don't know something's an idol until it's gone and you don't bounce back.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a good tell or test. You're like, is my family mission? I don't know. Yeah. Well, you know, is my job, is my work, have I built my identity on my work? Well, what would happen if your job was taken from you? Would you just, you know, adapt and recenter and restart in a new way? Or would you be devastated, crushed, and unable to get back up?
Yeah.
And so I think that's one of the treasures buried in grief and loss. It helps you get back to the right mission. Now, I do think that when you have the mission of Jesus, which is just a passion for me, it makes you a better father, it makes you a better spouse, it makes you a better kid, it makes you better in everything. Yeah. So it's not that Jesus' command to hate your father, mother, when you follow me, means literally hate. It's compared to your loyalty to him, in my opinion. It's compared to your loyalty to him. It looks like hate. But actually, you're going to be far more forgiving, far more self-sacrificing, far more committed, far more faithful, far more reliable in every way because you're loyal to the one who's got the power to change you versus trying to do it in your own strength. Yeah.
There's an image that I've used before, and if you guys can picture this in your head, think of it's like a glass tower of like wine glasses or champagne glasses, right? But it looks like a tower. So you've got one on top, you've got 3 below it, you've got 6 below it, and so on, right? So if I'm trying to go and pour into those glasses and they were just on a table lined up in a row, and I'm like, all right, how quickly can I get? I'm going to miss some, I'm going to pour a lot in one, and it's not going to be even, right? And some things are going to get missed or whatever. But if I put them in that tower and I'm only pouring into that one on top, what happens is that after that one fills up, what does it do? It overflows into the ones beneath it, correct? And then once those get filled up, what does it do? It overflows to the one beneath it. And that's the image I always go back to. Like when my focus is on you, Jesus, you know what happens? The overflow into the next level, my life as a husband, as a father, and as a worker, that gets even better. And then once that gets better, it overflows into discipleship and my men and my friends and my extended family. And so everything around that then goes back to your point, gets bolstered when my singular focus is Jesus and the mission that I align with his mission, then everything else just gets, elevated.
I want to see you do that in this show with the glasses right here and like pour in. I've heard other people say, it's not that Jesus is my first priority and then my family's my second. Jesus is my priority, period. Jesus in my family, Jesus in my work, Jesus in kind of the wheel and the hub and the spokes coming out. Yeah. I think that can be helpful. And we're all just trying to figure out, how do I live with purpose and have the right purpose? You've heard of like, hey, you aced that test, or you got the right answer, wrong test. Or like your ladder's leaning on the wrong wall, or like you can be going after good things, but you're going after the wrong things.
Yeah.
So that's actually a really good point, lead us into some misconceptions you've seen from people when we talk about mission. You kind of hinted on that before a little bit when we talked about your mom and dad missionaries and mission and how people think that has to be tied together. And we've kind of talked about this, I think, in different ways. I know Kim and Linda talked about it. I think you and I might have, but I want to hear your opinion. Misconceptions in the word mission.
Yeah, I think some people might say it's just for people who have a vocational calling to do that, or the opposite is anything is mission and that's sufficient. So my mission is making sure I never have any hangnails. I'm just going to devote my life. I am living with mission, no hangnails. I might even maybe help you not have any hangnails. Like, all right, that's cool. You've got a real passion, but like, is that it? Like, is that what your life stands for? No hangnails? And so I think there's two extremes. One is it's relegated to just a few people, and the rest of us live the real mission, which is me, which is I think happens for a lot of people. And the other is anything's a mission.
Yeah.
Anything's a good enough purpose. Just find a purpose. Yeah. And I would say, well, find God's purpose, I think is kind of the goal.
Yeah. Guys, thank you. We want to pause right now, and we're going to go to a commercial to thank one of our sponsors.
Are you dreaming of a stunning landscape or a refreshed living space? Look no further than Casey's Outdoor Solutions and Gift Shop. Located just outside of Bright, Indiana, Casey's specializes in transforming the outside of your home with expert landscaping services. They'll also help you beautify the inside with unique finds from their amazing gift shop. We want to send a huge thank you to Casey's Outdoor Solutions and Gift Shop for being a fantastic sponsor of the Strong Dads podcast. Their support helps us continue to uplift and inspire dads in our community. For all your landscaping dreams and eye-catching home accents, visit Casey's Outdoor Solutions and Gift Shop. That's Casey's, making your home beautiful inside and out.
Welcome back, guys, and we're wrapping up this theme of mission, and I know we had talked before this. You hadn't necessarily watched all of our other content that we've dropped in Rock Solid Families or Strong Dads, but we've hit on men on mission, women on mission, the mission field of each person, the mission of Christ, and now we're kind of wrapping it up, right? So if I'm looking to you, when I say all of those words, what comes together as a central theme? I want to hear your take on it. Okay. Jeff?
Well, when you think about the first pages of the Bible that outline sort of the beginning of creation, you see that God established a paradise, perfect relationships between Adam and Eve, and relationship to him, and even relationship to the earth itself. And you mentioned and hearkened earlier to the idea that paradise was lost, and God's mission is to restore that paradise. But I love the part where it says he created them in his image, male and female, he created them. So it's talking about a complementary interdependence is in fact part of the image of God. And so it's not just that we have a will and a deeper life than just an ant. I think it's talking about how he did create these differences that work together in a complementary interdependence. Yeah. So I think that's compelling, the idea that there's gender distinctives, and that's a beautiful, good part of God's plan. When I read the New Testament, there's a strong focus on the universal calling that is then played out uniquely with your unique, whether we talk about the body of Christ and different parts of the body and your contribution or gifts. What are your gift contributions? So when I think about the way all those come together, I think about we have a universal calling. Yeah. I believe it's to know God and make him known, to help shape the world, to create human flourishing, to see God's glory. You could use so many different words, to spread the kingdom, to make disciples. In some sense, these are all interrelated things that describe the mission of Jesus, which is restoration, wholeness, healing, and flourishing with him as the reigning supreme king because he's good. And so that's the universal heartbeat. But then the way that plays out is going to look unique for you. And so seeking God for how does this play out for me at this stage in my life, for my wiring, for my temperament, in my circumstances. I would like to think that we wouldn't get tripped up on the detailed individual aspect, but I think we do. I think it's very easy to say, God, what is your will? And you're focusing on a decision instead of just taking what he's already made clear in the Bible, like how you treat people, the devotion of your heart and loyalty to him, time in the Word, walking in the Spirit, worshiping, engaging in practices that Jesus modeled for us to follow. Like maybe just focus on that and don't get so hung up, am I at the right job? Should I continue dating and maybe marry this person? Is that God's will? It's not that those things aren't important. I just think it can distract and maybe even get in the way of acting on what is already made clear.
And this could be totally wrong application for it. I'm just now understanding this phrase, forest for the trees for the forest or whatever it is. Is that kind of what you're talking about?
Don't miss the forest for the trees.
I'm just so focused on this tree, I missed the entire forest here.
It can happen.
And I don't know if that even applies to that. Like I've just recently heard that phrase like a couple of times, and I'm like, I'm wondering exactly where this came from, but that comes to my mind when I get hyper-focused on the weeds. I'm like, I'm in the weeds here, and you and I, we've spent time talking about this. There are people who are 20,000-foot people. Like, I see everything's big picture, right? And there are some people that are, like I said, the hangnails. Like
microscopic.
This so to the point detail, but they miss the bigger image. And like, so
how to see both.
Yeah, we're talking personal application here. Like, I'm listening to this. I'm feeling engaged, Jeff. You're doing a phenomenal job. What does this mean for me? What do I do moving forward here?
So I go back to kind of those three questions that I think about every human being is asking. Who am I? Why am I here? And where am I going? When you're lost in the woods, by the way, how people triangulate with a compass and a map and points of reference, like that mountain peak, that lake. And if you can get a third one, you're even better. You can, with a compass and a map and 2 to 3 points, you can immediately say, based on that line, that vector, I am right here. You can know where you are on the map. And so I think those three questions can help us do that in life. And I think it starts with the identity piece. Because if you start with mission, you can end up making your value and worth based on your performance, your accomplishments, your productivity. That is a fundamental thing in human nature, and some people have it on steroids because of the way you were born. You're trying to establish your identity, prove your worth, and you didn't get that given to you and bestowed upon you as an act of grace. So that's where Jesus comes in for guys that are on the bubble who aren't really sure. Maybe you're listening to this. You're not even for sure about Jesus. You're kind of open to it, you kind of believe, but you don't really know what it means. I would say that fundamental question of who am I is where you start. Don't start with mission. Start with who am I? And I really think Jesus gives the best answer to that question. He invites us to be adopted in as children that are beloved by God. And it takes surrender. It takes faith. It takes receiving this free gift of grace to experience that. But once you have an identity that is established and secure in the love of God, then you can begin to think about, well, where's my future? That's the hope. And a lot of times in Christianity, or maybe even in other circles, there can be so much focus on the future, you kind of miss the present. Yeah. And I know a lot of people talk about, you need Jesus so that you can go to heaven when you die. And obviously, that's a big deal. But I also think you need Jesus so that you can live with him now. Eternal life starts now. That's what Jesus said. This is eternal life, to know God and to know me. Yeah. So I think then you think, okay, my identity secured is I'm loved, I've got value, I've got meaning because of the price he paid to get me back, not because of what I do in order to earn it. And then you say, well, what's my future? It's a bright future, no matter how hard it gets, no matter how bad it gets, no matter how much time I have left. Yeah. I know that if something were to happen to me today when I leave here, I wake up in the arms of Jesus, and I'm safe and enveloped in light and love and peace and perfection forever. I'm freed from my own crap, and not only the crap of this world. So when you know your future is awesome, then you can say, well, what does that mean for now? I got to get this message out. Yeah. Other people need to know this. Yeah. That's where the mission comes in. It's something that can propel you and make your Monday morning get up into that job that you don't like and it's just a drag. It can all of a sudden inject it with purpose. I got a purpose from God to help spread the good news of what he's doing, and the very nature of my work can help rebuild the torn fabric of the world. And so whether it's you're working in business or education or healthcare, you're in politics, entertainment, whatever it might be, you can then say, how is my job invested and embedded or impregnated with purpose for God's purpose. Yes. So it's not just I want my friends and coworkers to have the same good news I know, but I can actually do something with my work that brings what it would look like if Jesus was reigning as King Supreme and establishing what life looks like when he reigns supreme. I can help create that. And I really think this could transform a lot of people's work lives as well. Your job isn't your purpose. Your divine calling to create human flourishing is your purpose. And the people that you are working among is the mission field. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, everything has purpose. Again, waking in a prison cell, you could have a purpose.
Yeah, I think, Jeff, so much for us men and women too probably, but I'm a physical person, right? I'm a physical being. And so I like to work with my hands. I used to say one of the hardest parts about being a counselor or a teacher is at the end of the day, you're like, did I get anything done? Did I really did I learn something through by teaching, that kind of and so there's all of these unknowns, and so us men struggle with the lack of tangibility. I want to feel it. I want to see it. Like, am I actually moving the needle? And so I think when I think about that with Christ, it's easy to love my wife strictly because she's a physical being. I can see her presence there, right? Yeah. And I said we had a conference earlier this morning, I'm an out of sight, out of mind guy. Yeah. Not to my credit, right? Like, it leaves me and I have a hard time holding things in my mind. And so it's just, I'm no longer serving because, it's gone. But if you're physically there, I can do that, right?
Yeah.
And so the relationship with Christ is difficult.
Yeah.
Because we don't see Christ, right?
Yeah,
we don't see the physical being
especially
of Christ.
if you had a crappy dad.
Yeah. In fact, you double down on it the other way.
Yeah.
And so part of it is us learning how to make our relationship physical as well as spiritual, as well as, like, the whole idea of the Holy Spirit was just always weird to me, right? Like, are there ghosts here or what? Because I want to see it. Yeah. And I think so many of us men go, you go ahead and do your prayer stuff or whatever, but I'm just going to go over here and do the work, right? We've heard people, I'll pray for you, I'll pray for you. I'd rather you not pray for me. I'd rather you just go do the job.
Yeah.
And so getting stuck with being stuck in just the physical, tangible world about mission. Well, I'll fly over to the poor country and I will build houses over there. That's how I know I'm on mission. Versus things I can't measure: love, peace, joy, patience. The fruits of the Spirit. I can't measure. I don't have a ruler for that.
Yeah.
But that's really where so much of the emptiness comes with people. So finally, my question, how do you help people make it more physical or understanding, especially a man?
Yeah.
Like, I could go buy my wife a box of chocolates, but that's just me physically trying to show her.
Yeah.
How do I actually get it within me?
That's a good question, Merle. And there's, I think, a couple layers. Well, you said it's hard to measure. It's interesting. We could ask your wife, hey, how loving, kind, and gracious does Merle seem to be recently?
Don't do that.
Yeah, well, that often other people, it's hard to measure, but often other people can talk about that and feel it and sense change. So if you're feeling discouraged, like your life isn't changing, I got a friend who always asks me, does your wife still like you? And it's kind of like his way of saying, how are you doing? But what would happen if every time you clocked into your job, you had a discipline and a practice that in your mind you say, this is for you, God. It's not tangible in the sense of
you actually have a
physical
clock-in card.
But it's intentional in your mind, in your neural pathways. And what if every time a crisis come your way, a challenge came your way, you said to yourself, in this world you'll have trouble, but Jesus, you said, take heart because you've overcome the world. What do I do now? And so, again, prayer may seem like, it's just so ethereal, it's so invisible. But what if it actually lowered your heart rate? What if it actually slowed down your breathing? What if that all of a sudden created clarity in your thinking instead of getting the stress and the worry and the fear, the shame? And what if all of a sudden you actually did your job better? It wasn't that you physically did anything. It was a spiritual dynamic intentionally injected to your everyday life that brought about tangible changes. Again, hard to measure, but other people could say, I don't know what happened to you this year, but in your annual review, I just want to sit down and say, you've gone from here to here. Yeah. And you were to say, actually, and you could say the only change was I began every time I punched in, I said, God, this is for you. And every time a problem came my way, I said, Jesus, you said this world would be hard, but you've overcome the world. Show me what to do. And that's the only change I can point to. And your boss is just like, well, keep doing it because you're killing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a really, and not all of you are avid readers, but if you are, there's a book, actually a local guy too. Could Jesus have been a CPA? And I love the book, one, because it was easy to read. It was just stories. Terry Greer is the author, and he was a CPA, but he had felt once he had come in contact with the Lord and he was changed, his identity was like, okay, now I know who I am. He thought, well, if I'm going to go be on this mission for you, God, do I have to go to Africa? He had that same thought, that misconception that we had talked about, right? And one of the things that he started to do, he felt the Lord say, no, you're right where I've called you to, talking about, like, am I in the right job? It's just exactly where. He's like, no, you're fine, because wherever you go, you're going to still be doing the same thing, right? And one of the ways he did that tangibly, every single day he went to his desk, he sat on the opposite side, like a client would, and he looked over at Jesus and spot, Jesus, how do you want to use me today?
Yeah.
And that was his punch
his
in
tangible
of like
way.
He had to. He had that same wrestling with, like, okay, what does this look like, Lord? And he found out, and this is the story of the book is at the end of it, he's like, you know how many lives I've changed more than how many people I saved money with through this whatever, or like how many, like, oh, you did a good job here. Like, there's people he led, helped lead through the work of Jesus to an understanding of salvation and grace, and they were baptized and changed. And he's like, there's markers.
Yeah.
Done it right there.
I'll say one more thing to the tangible thing. There's lag metrics and lead metrics. This is something that people talk about when you're measuring and assessing effectiveness. Lag metrics are the results of the things you do that you can measure.
Okay.
And so even in the church world, we're about, human development. There are things we can measure that happen. And then there are lead metrics. These are the things you do that will result in the lag metrics. Yeah. Living on mission, I think there's actually some lead metrics you could start measuring to make it super tangible. Let me give you an example. And this is just one of my rhythms that helps me live on mission. It's prayer for people who are far from God or think they're far from God. Yeah. So I'm definitely speaking, if you're listening, I'm definitely speaking, and you're a follower of Jesus, like speaking to you. If you're following Jesus, you are commissioned to help other people discover Jesus, develop as his followers who hear and obey his teaching, which frankly will make life so much better, not circumstantially, but experientially, and then to turn around and duplicate that and help other people. Yeah. And so you could measure, do I pray at X interval? So if you're new to this, maybe it's once a week. Maybe if you're doing it once a week, you go to 3 times a week. Maybe you go to every day. I will pray for, is it 1, 2, 3 people who are far from God? God, would you open their eyes? Would you draw them near? Would you bless them? Would you, and just so if you're just praying, so you could measure how many, do I pray? Do I listen? Ask questions and listen. How often do I ask questions and instead of answering, listen? Yeah. Like you could actually take stock of that every day. Mm-hmm. Do I ask good questions and listen? And then you could say, do I serve people? Do I tangibly help them in some way? When was the last time I bought someone lunch? Do I eat meals with people? Do I spend time, or do I just eat in my cubicle or my truck, at the work? Or do I actually go out of my way to sit with someone at a meal and get to know them? And these are in one sense small things, but it's kind of the way Jesus lived his life, intentionally investing in people. Guess what happens when people know you care? Conversations emerge, spiritual conversations emerge. You may feel like, I don't know how to answer things, and that's exactly what you say. You say to the person, I don't know how to answer things. I just know I'm a better person because of my faith in Jesus, because I try to hear and obey him, and because I'm a part of a community that's doing that with me. And you know what God will do with that? He'll change the world.
Yeah.
This idea will do far more than a couple rock star missionary pastors. Everyday people just living it out in the course of relationships. Yeah. That's a huge passion point for me. And it's actually why, for me, some of my most exciting ministry, don't tell everybody at the church where I serve. Some of my most exciting ministry is not in church programs. It's hanging with people that I've gotten to know through real estate. I'm working and serving with some African refugees in our city, learning English. Yeah. And that's where the action is at. I'm answering my call from God, and there's a ton of fruit there and a ton of enjoyment.
Yeah, that's good. There's a verse going into this. I was reading and praying over John chapter 20, verse 21. As the Father has sent me, I am sending you. And like that encouragement. And so I don't know how much longer we're going to keep going on this or what we have left, because you wrapped up a really, really good way to say it, Jeff, of what we are listening to this. How are we being determined who our identity is? Where is it that we're heading? The mission that we have from Jesus. And if you don't know who he is, I would encourage this conversation like this. Like, we're friends having a conversation that is encouraging me to start rethinking my priority identities. Where am I going? Those 3 questions you brought up at the beginning. And then to say, like, all right, Lord, well, what do you have for me? And then he's telling me, like, don't worry, peace be to you. Just as the Father sent me, there was a mission. Jesus came down on this earth for a mission, right? I'm sending you. What does that look like too? And so, yeah.
When I worked in the schools, for a while I was doing some counseling at the high school level and that kind of thing. And I had to help kids get into college and occupations and stuff like that. And all these kids, high schoolers come in, I don't know what I want to do. I don't know what I want to do for a living. I don't, and now you run into adults. I don't know what I want to do for a living. I don't know what you're thinking that what you want to do for a living is, should I be a carpenter? Should I be a plumber? Should I be?
Yeah.
And I kind of just had to figure it out for myself. This goes back to Matthew 20:28. Just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and to give his ransom for many. Just Christ came to serve. And so I think so much of the mission is just quit getting wrapped up around, the exact work.
Yeah.
Are you serving people? And I'll tell you, I am convicted on being not very good at that lately.
Yeah.
One thing that illness does is it makes you narcissistic. It makes you, I can't stop thinking about me and my situation and my condition. Not that I'm mad or anything like that. It's just, it becomes all consuming, right? You have a broken leg. It's hard for me to think about the pain in your leg because my leg hurts right now.
Yeah.
And so I am reminded now, I need to get back to serving again.
Yeah.
We had a meeting this morning about serving through Strong Dads and stuff. And it's that's really where life takes place, is in the service, the mission. And it's so easy to get distracted by whatever else, and not to minimize what I'm going through, but I'm certainly very selfish right now.
Yeah.
And it's not helping, right? It's not just because I think about it for 5 hours a day versus 10 hours a day, it doesn't make the cancer go away, right? And so how could I actually, let me go have lunch with somebody or something like that. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if we wake with, I love you too. What adventures do you have for me today? How can I serve people today?
Yeah.
I just really feel, for me, helping people know, love, and follow Jesus, and then turn around and do that with others, that is the universal call. That as followers of Jesus, it's not even just to help people and to serve people. It's to do it in Jesus' name so that they can know him, and so that the domino effect can spread. That they're not just consumers of your service, but they are transformed by the name of Jesus who motivated you to do it. And so that plays out at your home. It starts with your family.
Yeah.
Especially if you've got kids at home, or if you're tight-knit as your family, or if you're completely broken as a family. I would still say that's the starting point, is to say, God, what's my calling to represent you well to my family?
Yeah.
And then it spreads in and says, well, where do I spend most of my waking time? For most people in the work world who aren't retired, it's in work. But you've also got neighbors, you've got friends, you've got coworkers, you've got people that you spend time with and hang out with. And so owning it for followers of Jesus, for not yet followers of Jesus, I just want to tell you, one of the things you're missing out on is having every second of every day injected with significance. Nothing is insignificant. And I felt this even more when Kayla passed. I felt less attached but more engaged. I felt less attached to this life, grabbing onto it, clutching it in fear of losing it. It was like this, but I also felt more pregnant with meaning in every aspect, every conversation.
Yeah.
This is a great way to live. This is fun. This is meaningful. This is the adventure our hearts are made for.
It's freeing.
It's
as well.
freeing.
It's freeing. You're not confined to what ought to happen.
Yeah. What do you want, God? How? Yeah. GPS, recalibrate. Mm-hmm. You might be like, I got a screwed up life. I made so many bad decisions. Guess what a GPS does? It recalibrates from where you're at. And you aren't going to get a spinning wheel with God. Like, he's going to dial in and he's going to help you start making right choices after you've made wrong choices.
Yeah, that's really good. Man, this is a really, really good, heavy content-laden show. Like, this is some amazing stuff that both of you guys, like, I'm just sitting over here listening to your guys' season and situation. And Jeff, I really appreciate you taking the time to come and speak to us and our listeners. I hope you guys got something today too. Like, I'm encouraged and my wheels are spinning too of like, all right, how do I solidify, what I feel I'm aligned, with my mission and where that is, but how does that get solidified even more, and how can engagement happen? And so hopefully you guys have the same thing. And I want to speak on too, like some of the men who are listening, if you don't have a community, because I think God didn't call us to do it alone. Right, you look at even his own actions proved he didn't. He called 12 to him, 3 even a little bit deeper. But he's like, don't go alone. Go out 2 by 2. And the 72 that he sent out was never alone. Guys, this is not a solo mission by yourself. We are in community, and we have that. We talked about it Saturday mornings over in our St. Leon office. We've got a group of men that are gathering together and doing this, encouraging one another, equipping one another, and preparing for what the Lord has for us in our mission. And when this drops this upcoming Saturday, the January 3rd will be, the Monday the 29th is dropped, the 3rd. We're going to get together and do something pretty cool too. And so we'll talk about that more for you guys. We'll put it on our Facebook page. But if you aren't a part of a group, if you aren't a part of something, I would encourage you, come to our St. Leon office. I don't know that address off the top of my head. I know you do. It's 7484
Christina Drive.
Yeah. So, or if not, if you got questions, guys, please don't hesitate to email, call one of us. It's hutch@rocksolidfamilies.org, Andy@rocksolidfamilies.org. You can call the office at 812-576-7625. And yeah, just go ask questions, go get a part of a group, go dial into some prayer, or ask somebody else if you're not a follower of Jesus, like, well, what does this really look like? And I would love to help you out along the way.
Yeah, one of the challenges, speaking about being on mission and us men in particular, is women are very social and very group mission oriented. You ask a group of women to get together and head something up. The next thing you know, you got 500 women there, and they're all and they want to help, right? They have the heart, the passion for help. You ask men to do that, and they'll say, well, give me a call on Saturday, and I'll see what I'm doing, right? And so men are so much more difficult to get engaged. And I think it's where we are hurting each other. Yeah. And a lot of it's because we're afraid of the commitment. Yeah. We don't want things to get in our way. But in the meantime, it becomes a wedge. It's the Satan wedge, right? Like it's keeping us separated from other men and other encouragers and opportunities to serve. And so I would, to your point, Andy, just say, like, whether it's Strong Dads or whether it's any other group, whether it's just being involved at church, right? Like, there's something that, and if you go to church with the idea of who am I going to change today, you probably just go and be open to change and open to serve, And I think amazing things can happen. But
yeah, I love that, because a lot of people go, what am I going to get? But what can I give? Yeah. And the other thing, just if I can end with a thought, first of all, thank you guys. This was awesome, and I have high respect for you, and I love this Strong Dads and the Rock Solid community. It's just super cool to honored to be here and talk about something I'm really passionate about. But I think for a lot of guys I specifically want to speak to the guys with kids. And it can be very easy to make your family your mission, and to really center on, what do my kids need? One of the things your kids need is to see you modeling sacrificial service and connection in community. Yes. So don't let your community, spiritual community, and your service to others die because you're revolving around your kids. That's horrible parenting. Don't do that. Yeah. You definitely want your kids to be a part of the mission with you.
Yeah.
And so that's a we were just honored to do that with our kids, and it's been a blessing to see the fruit.
That's a whole nother show right there.
Maybe so. Maybe so.
Yeah.
Might have to bring
good.
it back in again.
Yeah. Well, guys, we want to thank you. Andy, thank you for just helping put things together. Jeff, thank you for your time and your continued ministry and the work that you have there. And so we want to encourage you guys. As Andy said, if we can help, man, don't hesitate. I'll put another plug in there for Strong Dads. You know, we got the new year coming. One of your New Year's resolutions is get your tail at Strong Dads on Saturday mornings at 8 o'clock and stop being a wuss.
Yep.
And just get out there and break a little sweat. But really, it's just a lot of fun challenge stuff. And so anyway, Andy, you got anything else?
No, I think that's it.
All right. Go out there and be a strong dad. Is your car making a strange noise? Or maybe your golf cart needs a tune-up? Then you need to head to Quality Auto Mart. Quality Auto Mart isn't just about great auto repair and muffler service for your car. They're also your go-to experts for golf cart sales and repair. And we want to give a huge thank you to Quality Auto Mart for being a dedicated sponsor of the Strong Dads podcast. Their support helps us empower dads in our community and beyond. For all your car repair needs, muffler service, or anything golf cart related, trust the team at Quality Auto Mart. Visit them today and tell them the Strong Dads podcast sent you. That's Quality Auto Mart, located on Route 46 outside Batesville, Indiana. Call them at 812-934-2301.